Welcome back to our deep dive into the Frandsen files.
Yeah. Oh, man, last time.
I know.
Things got pretty wild.
Yeah, if you're just joining us, you might want to go back and listen to part 1 to catch up on all the crazy stuff we talked about.
Yeah.
But for those of you who've been following along,
Buckle up.
yeah, get ready because it's about to get even weirder.
Yeah. We're jumping into entries 11 through 20.
Oh, yeah.
And trust me, Dakota does not disappoint.
No, he does not. And one of the things that really struck me as we move into these later entries is how he really starts to try to create like a framework for understanding the paranormal.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not just a collection of random stories anymore.
Right.
He's starting to analyze and categorize.
He's putting on his researcher hat.
Yeah, exactly. Putting on his researcher hat.
In entries 11 and 12, he actually breaks down hauntings into these 3 types, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You've got your intelligent hauntings.
Right, your typical ghost.
Right. Your residual hauntings.
Or like an echo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
An energetic imprint. And then, oh boy, you've got
the big ones.
the environmental disturbance hauntings.
Your poltergeist.
AKA poltergeists, the ones that can really shake things up.
Yeah, and he even gives you criteria for how to figure out, you know,
How to tell them apart.
which one you're dealing with.
Yeah, which is super helpful.
Yeah, it is.
But then he throws in this curveball,
Oh, yeah.
this really interesting idea.
Carrie syndrome.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Carrie syndrome, post-traumatic psychosomatic manifestations.
Okay, so that's a mouthful.
Yeah, but it's basically the idea that really intense emotions, especially trauma,
Right.
they can leave behind like an energetic imprint.
Almost like a psychic echo.
Exactly like a psychic echo, and that echo,
Wow.
it can manifest as physical phenomena.
So you're saying like instead of a ghost.
It could be the remnants of powerful human experiences.
That's a really profound idea.
It is, isn't it?
Like how much of what we think is paranormal could actually be rooted in, you know, human consciousness.
Right.
That's crazy.
Like, how blurry is that line between the psychological and the supernatural?
Yeah.
That's what he's making us question.
Exactly. And then entry 13 is really interesting because it kind of shifts gears a little bit and it focuses on Dakota himself,
Yeah.
his own evolution as a paranormal investigator.
Right. He started young.
Yeah, he was like, what, 13 when he's...
Yeah, those little research teams running around with their EMF readers.
Yeah, and then he got into podcasting.
Wrote some books, even.
Yeah, and now, of course, we've got the compendium.
Right, which is kind of this living document of his journey, you know?
Yeah, it's like he's not just documenting the strange stuff.
He's documenting his own growth.
Yeah, like how his understanding of all of this has changed over the years.
And that makes what comes next
And I know.
even more wild.
Yeah, entry 14.
The hunt for infinite Earths.
Okay, so tell me about this.
So Dakota decides he's going to try to use ghost hunting tech
Okay.
to contact beings from other dimensions.
Oh, hold on.
I know, right?
Okay, so who's he trying to reach?
So he's got his sights set on some pretty big names.
Oh.
Real on.
The one from the TV broadcast.
Yeah, the mysterious entity who interrupted that British TV broadcast back in the 70s.
That's a classic case.
Right. And then there's Valiant Thor,
Oh, wow, okay.
the alleged visitor from Venus.
Who was hanging out at the Pentagon?
Supposedly met with some officials there.
Okay.
And get this,
This is where it gets crazy.
he tries to contact John Constantine.
Wait, John Constantine?
Yes, John Constantine, the occult detective from the comic books.
Okay, I gotta admit, I was skeptical when I first read this.
Yeah, I mean fictional characters.
Right, like, come on.
But then you read his findings.
Okay, so what happened?
Well, the Vrillin attempts didn't really yield anything concrete.
Okay.
But with Valiant Thor, he got some strange EVPs.
Really?
Yeah, and even a possible UFO sighting
Okay.
during one of the sessions.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but the Constantine experiment is where things get really spooky.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
So he's using the sleep talking app, and during the session, a voice allegedly responds,
Oh, no.
claiming to be Constantine and expressing a desire to communicate.
Whoa.
Okay.
I know, right?
That is creepy.
It makes you wonder about the nature of reality,
Yeah, what's real, what's not.
right? Like, could focusing on a fictional character...
Even one as, like, you know, steeped in the occult as Constantine,
Yeah.
could that somehow draw their attention?
Or even manifest a version of them.
It's like something out of a movie.
It really is.
But this is the Frandsen files.
Yeah.
So anything is possible.
Right. And then we go back to Dakota's childhood in entries 15 and 19.
The Dragon Man.
Yes, the Dragon Man.
That whole story is just so unsettling.
It is, and this time we get some more context.
Okay, so what does he say now?
Well, based on his research.
Mm-hmm.
Dakota now believes that entity could be Enlil.
Enlil.
Yeah,
Wow.
a powerful figure from ancient Sumerian mythology,
Oh, wow.
and not exactly a benevolent one.
Okay, so this is where things start to tie into the Anunnaki.
Right, those enigmatic beings from Sumerian texts.
The ones who supposedly visited Earth in ancient times.
Yeah,
And he even suggests that he might be descended from Ea.
Enlil's brother.
Yeah, the more benevolent one.
Exactly.
It's like a family feud of cosmic proportions.
It really is.
And just to make things even more complicated,
Hey,
he
Gorka.
brings in biblical figures.
Oh, yeah, he loves to do that.
He speculates that Cain, from the Adam and Eve story, might be connected to the Lord of Shadows.
That mysterious entity who keeps popping up.
It's like he's weaving together this tapestry of ancient myths
Biblical accounts.
and his own personal experiences.
It's fascinating.
And definitely adds a whole other layer of intrigue.
It does. And speaking of intrigue.
Let's talk hauntings.
Yeah. So in entry 16,
Okay.
Dakota goes beyond just ghosts and echoes. And he introduces this concept of elementals.
Elementals.
Yeah, beings associated with the 4 classical elements.
Earth, air, fire, water?
Exactly.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's pretty out there.
So how do you even investigate elementals?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
And honestly, he doesn't really give us a clear answer.
Okay.
It seems like it requires a different approach.
Yeah.
One that's more attuned to like the subtle energies of nature.
Okay, so we've got elementals,
And then we've got
entity hauntings,
ah,
which is a whole other level.
Yeah.
He's talking demons, angels, jinn, even possible deities.
This is where things get really intense.
Yeah, this is less ghost hunt and more like supernatural thriller.
Exactly.
And he even suggests that, for these types of hauntings.
You might need more than just your standard investigative techniques.
Yeah, like what?
He talks about seeking help from like experienced spiritual practitioners or people who have specific knowledge in dealing with these entities.
Okay, so this is serious stuff.
Yeah, this is not for the faint of heart.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And speaking of intense,
Is abduction.
the abduction.
Yes.
Entries 17 and 20 finally give us more details.
It's a wild ride.
Okay, so tell me everything.
Okay, so he describes these tall grays.
He's mentioned them before.
Right, and it seems like they're doing some kind of examination on him.
Oh, man, that's creepy.
But just when things are looking really bad,
Yeah.
this blonde woman appears.
Wait, a blonde woman.
Yeah, and he describes her as looking like Sailor Moon.
Sailor Moon.
I know, right?
What?
Yeah, it's a strange detail.
It's very specific.
Yeah, but get this.
Okay.
He thinks this woman might be Ivina,
Ivina.
his star wife.
Yes, from his past life as Ilarian.
The Tal-Shear connection.
Exactly.
This is just getting more and more complicated.
I know, but it's so fascinating.
Okay, so who rescued him?
Well, he suspects it was members of the Galactic Federation of Worlds.
The good guys.
Yes, the good guys in this whole cosmic conflict he keeps talking about.
Okay, so it's like Star Wars, but real.
I know.
This is insane.
And then he introduces us to this new character,
The emissary.
the emissary.
Yeah.
And who is this emissary?
This is his main source of information about the GFW
Oh, wow.
and his past life as a Larian.
So through the emissary, he starts to unlock even more memories.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got hauntings, ancient deities, interdimensional beings, a cosmic war.
It's a lot to take in.
What else could there possibly be?
Well, in entry 18,
Okay.
things get even more mind-boggling.
How is that even possible?
Trust me.
Okay.
Dakota dives into some of his more theoretical ideas,
Okay.
including something he calls multiversal source soul fractuality.
Multiversal source soul fracturality.
You know, it's a mouthful.
It's like a whole sentence.
Right, but basically, it's his attempt to explain how everything is connected.
Okay.
He's saying that everything is a fractal,
Oh,
like a smaller reflection of a larger whole.
Okay.
So we're pieces of our universe,
Mhm.
which is a piece of the multiverse,
Okay.
and so on and so on.
And it all goes back to this ultimate source.
Exactly.
It's like a cosmic Russian nesting doll.
I like that analogy.
It's the only way I can wrap my head around.
And then it gets even more complicated. When he brings in the idea that our minds,
Mhm.
especially psychic minds,
Okay.
might have the power to create entire universes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Our minds can create universes.
That's what he's suggesting.
And reincarnation.
Oh, yeah. He says that could be explained by fragments of our souls
Okay.
moving through time.
And inhabiting different bodies.
Exactly.
So like those stories about organ transplant recipients.
Yeah, the ones who take on personality traits of the donor?
Could that be a soul fragment thing?
He throws that question out there.
It's a lot to process.
It really is.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
From hauntings to ancient deities to interdimensional beings and the idea that our minds can create universes.
It's mind-blowing.
I need a minute to just sit with all of this.
Take a deep breath.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride.
But you know what? I'm kind of curious to go back and look at those first 10 entries again.
With fresh eyes?
Yeah, with all this new information.
I bet they'll take on a whole new meaning.
I have a feeling they will. Let's do it. All right, so we've just gone through like some really complex stuff from these later FrandsenFiles entries.
Yeah, it's a lot to unpack.
I know, and now I'm thinking back to those first 10 entries.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, how does all this new stuff we've learned, like how does it change how we see those earlier stories?
It's like we've been given a new lens
Right.
to look back through.
Exactly. And some of those details that might have seemed random before
Yeah.
could actually be like clues,
Oh, totally.
like hinting at things we didn't understand at the time.
And I think a perfect example of that is entry 1.
Oh, yeah, the one where Dakota talks about knowing his sister was coming before anyone else.
Like he just knew.
Yeah, and at the time it seemed like just, a kid's intuition.
Right. Just a sweet little story.
But now...
Knowing about the Tal Shiar.
And the source
Yeah, that connection to everything.
makes you wonder.
Right. Was it just intuition?
Or was it something more?
Maybe his Tal Shiar heritage starting to emerge. Or a glimpse of that interconnected consciousness he talks about later.
It's like he was tapping into something beyond our normal understanding.
Exactly. And then there's Elle from entry 4.
His skeptical partner.
Yeah. And initially she seemed like, the voice of reason.
Yeah, like she kept him grounded.
But now knowing that she could be an incarnation of Ivina,
His star wife from a past life.
it changes everything.
Yeah, their connection is so much deeper than we thought.
It's not just romantic.
It's like a reunion of souls across lifetimes.
And the fact that her own abilities start to awaken.
As their relationship deepens.
Yeah, it suggests that their connection is triggering something really profound.
Like destiny brought them together.
And it makes you think, how much of our present is shaped by our past.
By those connections that go beyond time and space.
It's a beautiful thought.
It is, and then there's entry 6.
Oh, yeah.
The one about Olivia,
Dakota's daughter.
who seemed to be aging super fast.
That was a real head-scratcher.
Yeah, we couldn't figure that one out.
But now, knowing about the time distortion experienced by the GFW,
The ones who are 300 years in our future.
it all clicks into place.
Yeah, she is his daughter from his life as a Larian.
Just displaced in time.
It's mind-boggling.
It really is.
But it makes sense within the framework Dakota has established.
Right. He's not just dealing with ghosts and hauntings.
He's dealing with the fabric of reality.
Time and consciousness.
Like they're fluid and interconnected.
And then there's that whole John Constantine thing from entry 5.
The outworlder con man.
Yeah, and at first it seemed like Dakota was stretching a bit.
Trying to contact a fictional character.
Right, but if we consider his theory about consciousness influencing reality.
That psychic energy can shape events?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he did somehow draw Constantine's attention.
Or even manifest a version of him.
Is fiction less solid than we think?
That's a big question.
It is. And it makes you wonder, could our stories, our myths,
Even our dreams.
could they have power that we don't fully understand?
It's a fascinating concept.
And it really challenges our assumptions about what's real and what's not.
And even something like Dakota's teenage ghost hunting group from entry 8.
The paranormal raider force.
Yeah, it takes on a whole new meaning.
It's not just kids playing around.
It's the beginning of his journey.
Like a foreshadowing of his destiny as this interdimensional explorer.
And the name itself, Paranormal Raider Force.
It's almost prophetic.
Yeah, like was it just a cool-sounding name?
Oh, is it something more?
Maybe his subconscious was already hinting at his future.
And then there's the Bald and Bonkers network from entry 10.
Yeah.
Which seemed like just a fun way to brand his work.
Right.
But looking back, it's so much more than that.
It's a space for the strange.
Yeah, a platform for people who don't fit in
The ones who have experienced the unexplained.
and are looking for answers.
Or just a community that understands
He's building a bridge between worlds,
between the known and the unknown.
the accepted and the ostracized.
And he's inviting us all to question our assumptions.
To be open to the possibility that there's so much more to reality than we can see.
It's a powerful message.
It is. And it's especially relevant today.
With all the information overload and polarization.
Yeah. Dakota's work reminds us that there's still mystery out there.
That there are still questions worth asking.
even if we don't have all the answers.
And I think that's what makes the Frandsen Files so compelling.
It's not about finding all the answers
It's about embracing the unknown.
and acknowledging that there are things we may never fully understand.
But the journey itself,
The exploration,
the questioning,
that's where the real value lies.
and that's what Dakota is all about.
He's a master question asker.
He really is.
He's always pushing the boundaries
Challenging conventions.
and inviting us to join him on this incredible journey of discovery.
And who knows what we'll find along the way.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, the Frandsen Files are just full of surprises.
Well, I'm definitely ready for more.
Me too.
Let's keep diving in. You know, as we've been going through all this stuff, one thing really sticks with me. Dakota's idea that we're all connected to this source,
Yeah.
and that our thoughts and beliefs can actually shape reality.
It's a pretty mind-blowing concept.
I know it's like a lot to take in,
Yeah.
but the more we explore the Frandsen Files, the more it seems like maybe he's onto something.
Right. Like, what if it's really true?
Yeah, what if we're not just, watching the universe unfold?
Mm-hmm.
What if we're actually helping to create it?
That's a lot of responsibility.
I know, it's kind of scary to think about.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if every thought we have
Every belief.
is actually shaping the world around us.
It makes you think twice about what you're putting out there.
Yeah, for sure. And if we're all connected to this source,
Mm-hmm.
doesn't that mean we're connected to each other too?
Yeah, that's the implication.
And if that's true,
What does it say about our actions?
our choice,
The impact we have on each other.
it's like this giant cosmic web.
Where everything is intertwined.
Yeah, and maybe that's what Dakota's trying to show us.
Right. It's not just about ghosts and aliens.
It's about understanding our place in the bigger picture
Recognizing the power we have.
and using it wisely.
So what are we creating right now?
Just by having this conversation,
What about our listeners?
are we shifting something in the fabric of reality?
It's a wild thought,
I know.
but maybe that's the whole point.
Yeah.
Maybe Dakota's goal isn't to give us all the answers.
But to awaken us to the mystery?
To the potential that's inside each of us.
Yeah, to make us conscious creators.
To encourage us to question everything.
And to explore the boundaries of what we think is possible.
And maybe, just maybe,
By doing that.
we can create a better reality.
Yeah, one that's more in alignment with
With our highest selves.
with our hopes and dreams.
With love and compassion.
Yeah, it's a message of hope,
In the midst of all the strangeness.
all the uncertainty.
And it reminds us that even when things seem impossible,
Yeah, even when we're faced with the unknown.
there's always room for wonder.
For curiosity,
For the pursuit of truth.
no matter how elusive it might be.
Well said.
So we've come to the end of our deep dive into the Frandsen Files.
We've explored some pretty wild territory.
I know we've talked about hauntings and aliens and interdimensional beings.
And the idea that our minds can shape reality.
Yeah, and we've come out the other side with more questions than answers.
But maybe that's okay.
Maybe the journey itself is what matters.
The expansion of our perspective.
The challenging of our beliefs.
And the recognition that reality is far more mysterious than we often realize.
So to everyone listening out there, keep an open mind. Keep asking questions and keep exploring the mysteries that surround us. Who knows what incredible discoveries